Just a quick note that this is out of order. I intended originally that this would be released on Sunday. Before the story broke on Now You Know that I had spent the week in Montana with the Well Done Foundation. Hence my remarks in this video being a little cryptic about where I'm going and everything and what I'm doing in Montana. But regardless, I wanted to share this trip with you. There will be a lot more content coming about the Well Done Foundation, in-depth videos about my week there and their process and what they're doing. So a lot of exciting stuff to come, but first I had to get there. So let's join me already in progress in Alexandria. Hello and happy Drive Electric Week. That means it's time for another road trip. Actually, I'm going out to Montana to do a special project that I'll talk about a little bit later. But I'm in Alexandria, Minnesota tonight, and on my way up through North Dakota. I left home about 9:30, a little after 9:30, did the bedtime routine, and then I'm setting off alone this time. And so got everything squared away at home. Took a shower last minute, so I was sure to not start my road trip being all grimy from the day. Probably too much information there. It is now probably about 12:30, 12:40 in the morning, Monday morning. Late on a Sunday night, leaving through the metro area of Minneapolis, absolutely no problem. Got out of here and hardly any traffic on the road on the way up here to Alexandria. So a good start so far, a little drizzle, a little bit of wind, but all in all, when we're out on the highway, the stars are out and the moon is out, and it's a great night for driving. So we'll continue on our way and keep it going. See you in Fargo. Hello and welcome to Fargo, North Dakota. Just crossed the border. It's about 2:30 in the morning and supercharging here from about 30% up to I think I need to be in the mid-60s. Great trip. From Alexandria up here to Fargo, and looking forward to continuing. One thing I noticed that I'm going to have to maybe call the Minnesota DNR about is it seems like the deer in that part of the state are exploding on the highway. So yeah, that was a little distressing in some places where it was just red spot after red spot, and then occasionally a leg or something. So the semis are doing some damage up there. But other than that grisly bit of news, trip's going okay so far. It's a little brisk to be wearing shorts, so I might remedy that before our next stop. Good morning, Bismarck. Just had a really lovely hour-long nap. I'm overcharging here. I did the same thing in Jamestown, crawled in the back and got about an hour of sleep each time, so overcharged, but I didn't drive off the road, so that's more important. And so I actually got some pretty decent sleep over the night. I crawled in the back in Alexandria and maybe got a half hour there. And then in Fargo, I just put the seat back with the neck pillow for maybe 15 minutes. Longer sleep here in Bismarck. Oh, I got fantastic hair here. The night was a pretty easy drive, not a lot of traffic, a little construction between Bismarck and Jamestown, but nothing too terrible, nothing really slowed me down. One weird thing about autopilot that I noticed, at least AP1, is I was following a truck with a trailer, something the size of like a yard maintenance company would have, and all of a sudden the autopilot just started ping-ponging back and forth in the lane and would kind of pick up a lane and then lose it and pick up a lane and lose it. I thought, well, that's weird, must be something with the car. I had to take it out of autopilot, it was getting so erratic. And then the second I passed the trailer, it locked onto the lanes again and it was fine. And so I think what it was is something like the refresh rate maybe of the tail lights that were on the trailer. And then it happened one other time, and also the same kind of like LED vertical strip lights were on the back of another trailer, a larger trailer the second time, and had the same thing. Like it just, I don't know why, but for some reason it just confused the heck out of the AP1 camera. Again, I was paying attention, it wasn't a big deal, but just kind of an odd thing. I'd be curious to know if anybody with AP2 has seen that, or has seen that kind of ping-ponging at night and not known why, and maybe it was because you were behind a trailer with those kind of lights. I wish I would have had one of the cameras running at the time, because it would be interesting to see what the camera saw too, but just an oddity that I thought I'd share. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm charged up to about 90%. I'm going to hit a restroom on the way back out to the highway, and then we'll be on our way to Dickinson. Glad to be back in Dickinson. I just got the windshield wiped off, the washer fluid and garbage can that's provided here, so thank you to the North Dakota Tesla owners and whoever's managing that. It's always nice after a night of driving through the wilds to get the bugs off. This is the last stop that I've been to going west on 94, so as we continue into Montana, these are all going to be new chargers for me. So I'm going to do a little digging on the Now You Know channel's supercharger review site to see what people have to say about those and if there's anything to look out for. But I'm looking forward to getting into Montana. I haven't been, even in a nice vehicle, I haven't been this way through Montana in probably 18 years, 17 years, something like that. So it's a little rusty in my memory, but looking forward to it and hoping for a great day of driving. Welcome to Glendive, Montana, and the 8-stall supercharger here in the parking lot of the Holiday Inn Express and Suites. Seems like a decent hotel. I've just been through the lobby, but most of these are in pretty good shape. There isn't a lot of food options around, but Otherwise, it's a beautiful day, and I'm just about charged up here. As I'm on this trip, I'm thinking a lot about government regulations and, the carrot and stick approach, the incentives or penalties that we give to individuals or companies to kind of direct what we want them to do from a policy standpoint. And that's going to come up a little later in this trip, and so I want to kind of put that thought in your ear. As I'm driving, a lot of the semis I pass have the aero wheel covers on their hubcaps, and they have the plastic sheeting that goes down underneath the trailer, and that's all to cut down on wind resistance and save that extra penny or whatever it is per mile, because over time that really adds up for the trucking companies or the trucking owner-operators. So that's a case of business being proactive for the sake of saving money. And I also think back to the early days of the pandemic, when the first things that were really nationally closed down in the U.S. were the NBA and the NFL, or NBA and the NHL, and that was their decision. That wasn't a government mandated, we're going to make you do this kind of situation. And it was in that week when I was at the Minneapolis Auto Show, and we were giving test rides in some of the new EVs. And I was there on that Friday, and they shut that down. The people who ran the auto show shut it down at noon. And they did that not because of a Minneapolis mandate, not because of a Minnesota state mandate or a federal mandate. They were just kind of seeing the writing on the wall, thinking we need to get a handle on this. People aren't going anywhere anyway, and we need to kind of see what's going to happen. So a lot of things shut down without government intervention. Maybe it was all out of concern for liability, but maybe it was, out of genuine concern for the public. So that's one approach where, business is proactive and they're leading and ahead of the government. On the other hand, you also hear a lot of talk about strangling regulations and, there's so many burdensome regulations on businesses. And yeah, I can understand that. I was the operations manager for a company for a while, and not that we ever had any issues or any significant issues, but every time we got a notice that this fire inspector was coming through, it was just kind of a hassle to go around and check, stop what you're doing in your regular day-to-day, what you had planned for the day, stop, go double check, make sure everything's good, and then, walk through with the fire inspector and all that. That's a very minor thing, but I can understand the inconvenience of, we need to fill out a new form, we need to do a new policy, because of some concern, and sometimes it feels overbearing. What the objective of this trip is kind of dealing with that, is like, whose responsibility are certain things? What should a business be taking on? What should individuals be taking on? So that's going to be kind of heavy on my mind, and we'll revisit it probably on the trip back. We'll discuss it again, and I don't want to spill the beans at this point, but just keep that in your mind as you're watching this video or this series, whatever it turns into. Where do you come down on that? What do you think is appropriate? And, how should things be regulated? Should it be with incentives or with penalties, the carrot or the stick? But now I'm probably well charged up because I recorded this all once without hitting record. So now I'm definitely sure I'm good to go on to the next charger, which I believe is in Miles City. That's going to be a longer charge, probably time for lunch there, and continuing the trip. And so far it's been a beautiful day and really enjoying the drive through Montana so far. I'll see you in Miles City. Just wrapping up a long charge here in Miles City. I think our next stop is Billings, but it's quite a distance, and so far most of this trip we've been going uphill and into the wind. So definitely with this older car, I'm gonna charge it up. A better route planner says 98%. We just hit that, so I'm just letting it trickle in a little more as I record this. But it's a beautiful day, and really excited to get back on the road. Got some editing done and some other projects done while I was waiting here. Had lunch, so not too bad of a stop. It's at a gas station it's pretty well stocked. They've got restrooms and showers and stuff here too for truckers. So all in all, a good location, even if they do think the Tesla drivers out here are a little crazy. But anyway, about to get back on 94 and get moving. Well, I hope you've got your checkbook out, because we're in Billings. I'm sorry, terrible dad joke, but I've been on the road all night and day, so that's what you get. The last stretch was a lot of uphill and fairly windy, so I kept the speed down to 75, even though the speed limit was 80. I figured rather have a little buffer than run out. I'm not in that big of a hurry, so it wasn't a big issue. This is just a 4-stall supercharger in the Bighorn Hotel parking lot. There's actually quite a few hotels around here, a Holiday Inn Express and Suites, and another one I can't see the name of. Just right off the highway here in Billings. This was supposed to be a pretty quick stop, but between using the restroom, calling home, and just general taking a rest after that long stretch, I'm actually charged up somewhere in the 80s, and I only needed to be here till 53%. So I'm just going to get back on the road. I don't think I'm going to hit my final destination tonight. I don't have a hotel booked there tonight. I've got 2 more charging stops before that location. I'm going to try to make it through the next one and then to that last one, and then get a good night's sleep while I'm there. That's the plan. Let's see how it goes and see if I can make it that far. Alright, I gotta remember to start hitting record. I think this is the 3rd time that I've done the entire piece here without recording. But I am in Big Timber, Montana at a 4-stall supercharger at a nice little gas station gift shop. And you can probably still see the remnants of the sunset behind me. I've got the moon coming up behind the camera here, coming up through the clouds. So my next leg will be my last one for the night. It's going to take about 2.5 hours. I think it's 175 miles or something like that. And that's about the limit for what this car can do in the cold and with the elevation changes. So I'm going to have to keep my speed down at least until I'm sure I can make it, and then I can pick up gradually as I get closer. But yeah, it's going to be an adventure. I'll get to that next stop and get some sleep, and then we'll continue in the morning. Good morning from Great Falls, Montana. I'm at a 8-stall supercharger at the Hampton Inn. I didn't record last night because I got here extremely tired. I kept my speed quite low for this long stretch. Really got here with a decent percentage. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think it was well over 10%. So I wouldn't have had to have been so cautious. But with the elevation changes in an area I'm unfamiliar with, it just seemed to make the most sense. This morning I'll be driving up to Shelby, Montana, and I believe the hotel has some RV outlets. So I'm hoping I can charge there this week, but I saw that on PlugShare at home, but PlugShare isn't loading on my phone here this morning, so fingers crossed that that works out. I actually had the best night of car camping that I've ever had. Like I said, I got here very tired last night, and as I pulled into town, all of the exits near the superchargers were under construction. So I had to wind around a few times and then take side city streets to weave my way back around here. So it was quite the adventure, and I didn't have the energy last night to record, but I got here, plugged in, used the restroom in the hotel, charged up to about 86% while I took a little nap, and then moved the car off of the chargers, and didn't actually use camper mode because the weather's fine and I have a hardcore cold weather sleeping bag in the car. So I was able to use that and be very comfortable all night. Woke up a little bit about 5 a.m. and decided to roll over and go back to sleep, so ended up getting up about 7. It's probably close to 8 now, but I plugged back into the supercharger even though I was still at 86% from last night's charge. I figured because there's some uncertainty today, and I know there isn't a supercharger where I'm going, I figured may as well top up, warm the battery up before I start driving, and be ready to roll for the day. It's going to be a beautiful drive up as the sun's coming up over the mountains. I can just see it, on the hillsides now, nice and golden sunrise. Excited for a beautiful drive. Gonna just grab some quick breakfast along the way. More adventures to come. I'm gonna kind of play it by ear today, see what the situation is when I get up to Shelby. But how about I stop rambling about it and I just tell you about it when I get there. I pulled into Shelby, Montana about 9:15 and drove around town a little bit to get my bearings. Then found the hotel. I was able to check in early, and they actually have an RV park next to the hotel, and they allowed me to charge the car for free. Normally they would charge $10, but since I was staying there, it was free and included with the room. So I was able to get in and be checked in, plugged in, have the contents of the car emptied into my hotel room by about 10:15. At 10:30, I met John from the Well Done Foundation in the lobby of the hotel just to kind of go over the plan for the week, and it turned out they were already going to get started that day. I had thought maybe I would spend the day editing this video and maybe exploring a little Glacier National Park, but they were raring to go and already doing things that Tuesday afternoon. So I met with Curtis and Rory and John, and we went out to the field and did some testing. In the next few weeks, I'll take a deeper dive into the problem, their process, and where we go from here. So stick around for the Well Done series, subscribe so you don't miss one, and I'll see you out in the field. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.